Year 7's just a quick catch-up lesson for those that missed out when we did Introduction to Algebra. The students that was away on cross-country. Just a few words that's very important. The first word, and you need to know these words because that's how I'm going to communicate in class. The first word that you need to know is this word, pronumeral. A synonym for the word is variable. And it says here it's a letter that stands for a number, and here I've given you an example. We actually call this an expression, and in this expression we have a number and this letter here, and in this expression we will call that the pronumeral or the variable. And that means that the value of this pronumeral can change. I can prescribe the value. So if we have, for example, I can say to you a equals to 1, then you would understand that that means 2 times 1. Remember, there's a multiplication sign between the 2 and the a here, so that would be 2 times 1 equals to 2. Or I can prescribe a, say, as 100, so you can see a varies there, so it's 2 times 100, and the value for this expression, if a is 100, will then be equal to 200. So that is the first word that you need to know when we deal with algebra. The next concept that you need to understand is how we write certain things in algebra. And very important to understand that if we have a times b, we usually do not write the multiplication sign. We would just say that is AB. And also for division, we have, you guys are used in the junior years to write A divide B, but we prefer to write it as a fraction, A over B. So mainly in algebra, you will see A divided by B written as a fraction, A over B. Then a very important concept is also terms. We need to be able to see terms in expressions. I always say terms is like words in sentences. If you can't see the words in sentences, you won't be able to read. And it's the same with algebraic expressions. If you can't see the term, you cannot really follow the expression. So terms are a combination of variables and numbers, and it's being pulled together by division and multiplication. So I'm going to give a few algebraic expressions here as examples, and then deal and show you how to read the terms. So let's maybe give a first example here. I'm writing an algebraic expression, say 2ab minus 3a plus 4. Now just looking at this algebraic expression, in this case there will be 3 terms. Let me just get another color. So usually I say a plus and minus is like a little scissor. It snips between the variables and the numbers, and so you will actually have a divide there and a divide there. So this will be your first term in the expression. This will be the second term in the expression, and that will be the third term in the expression. So in this example, we have 3 terms. Let's look at another one. Let's say I have x squared plus 2x minus 3 plus another x to the cube, say for example. Maybe you guys can quickly pause and guess for yourself how many terms you have there. And so pause quickly, guess for yourself how many terms. And then I'll give the answer. Of course, there will be 4 terms. So you would divide in front of the plus, in front of the minus, in front of the plus there, which makes this your first term. That would be your second term. Note how the plus goes with the second term. The minus here goes with this third term, and that will be your 4th term. So here would be 4 terms. Then just also important, when there's a bracket however in your expression, let's do a third example with a bracket. Let's say we have x minus 3, oh that's not a nice x minus 3 plus 4y plus 5. Now looking at that, when you have a negative sign and a positive sign within a bracket, that would not, the minus then would not break it up in a separate term. You would actually, this whole bracket would be seen as a term. So in this algebraic expression, we would have that as a term. That will be the second term, and that will be the third term. So here we have 3 terms. So when plus and minus signs are then within a bracket, you won't see a separate term there. You would see that whole bracket as a term. Then another concept that you need to understand is you need to be able to recognize your constant term. Let me just do that in another color. So looking at this first expression, algebraic expression, you can see that this first term is called an AB term, this one will be an A term, and this one will be your third term, but this one where there's not a variable in, that would be called your constant term. So this third term is constant because it's only going to be 4. It's not going to change, it stays plus 4. So in your second expression, quickly maybe guess, which one would you say is the constant term in your second expression here? And of course, yes, this one here will be your constant expression because you see there's not a variable pronumeral in there, and so only it will always be minus 3. Lastly, in this expression here, yes, of course, that would be your constant term. It's not changing, there's not a pronumeral in that term. There's another concept that I want to show, another example. This is not the best whiteboard ever, so hopefully I can get some. Just an example that I want to show. Another expression or another algebraic expression. So say my fourth example. Say I have something like this. If you can guess how many terms we have there. Here we would have 2 terms. And usually students make a mistake with this, and this is why I'm stressing to be able to read your terms is important. If you do not, you're going to make BIMDAS mistakes, and often students want to first subtract there. But if you follow the rules for terms, this minus is not in a bracket, so that too is a constant term on its own, and so you would have a second term there. All of that would form your second term, and you actually have multiplication there between the minus 3 and the bracket. And so if you do not see your terms, you're going to make a BIMDAS mistake by first subtracting. That's a very common mistake among students. Right, the last word, year 7s, is the word coefficient. And that is basically just the number in front of a variable or in front of a pronumeral. So looking at the fifth algebraic expression here, we have 3 terms. So let's just make sure you understand. You would cut in front of the minus and the plus. That would be first term, second term, third term. Now the coefficient in this x term is the number in front of the x, so this 2 here is the coefficient. In the second term, also called the y term, the minus 3, so you need to take the minus with you, read that with the coefficient. So minus 3 is the coefficient. Here it wouldn't make sense to talk about a coefficient because there's not a pronumeral. Looking at the last example, 6, Just want to quickly talk about this format, this way of writing the expression when there's a fraction in the expression. I'm just going to rewrite that so you can maybe read that better. So this would still be 3a, but there's actually a secret one there. So that would be seen as a quarter y minus, and this would be a half an x, because division by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. And then when we consider the coefficients here, for the a term, let's maybe look at the terms. I still have 3 here as well. We have 3 terms here. The coefficient for the a term, the first term here, of course, will be that 3. And the coefficient here for the y would be positive 4, and for the x would be minus a half. So that's it. Thank you.